The faded blue Volkswagen Bully ambled along a winding road, snaking through dense pine groves. The van purred like a contented animal, and inside, the air was thick with the scent of sweet energy drinks, sunscreen, and something else, something light, almost ghostly, as if this wasn't the beginning of a trip, but a warm memory of one. 6 college students sat close together in the back, cramped but content. Outside, the summer forest flickered past the windows, shadows of green dancing across the glass. The world felt calm, familiar, like home. Emily sat by the window on the side bench seat, silently watching sunlight shimmer through the leaves, as if trying to read hidden messages written in their flickers. "Seriously, Tyler," Jessica snapped from the rear row, throwing herself against the seat back. "You were totally eyeing that cashier right in front of me." "What? I just asked where the magazine rack was," Tyler replied with a lazy smirk. His eyes, as always, scanned the surroundings, always on the lookout for someone new to charm. "He'd flirt with the gas pump guy if he smiled at him," Rachel muttered, her hands clenched tight on her knees. Her voice had that brittle edge, like ice cracking under boots. Up front, Logan was at the wheel, sitting like a ship captain fully in command of his course. He was solid, built like hewn wood, and drove the aging Bully like it was a rally car, and the road was his to tame. "Don't mind them," Ethan whispered, leaning slightly toward Emily. "They run on arguments. The day they stop fighting is when we should be worried." Emily gave a faint smile, her eyes still fixed on the window. "Interesting theory." "Tried and tested," Ethan said. "My cousin went 3 whole days without fighting with her boyfriend. That was it. Broke up, just like that, like a clock that stops ticking." Ethan didn't have the flash of the others, but there was something quietly genuine in his gaze. He was an introvert, like her, and when he spoke, it always meant something, like he wasn't trying to impress. He was trying to be real. Sometimes he'd try to tell her more between the lines, but always carefully, like he was afraid to scare her off. Up ahead, a gas station came into view, old and lonely, like a relic left behind by time. Peeling paint, a rusted pump, and a tiny convenience store with windows fogged by years of grime. They decided to stop. It was time to refuel. Emily stepped out and was immediately wrapped in silence. Not a dead silence, an attentive one, like the woods themselves were listening. The trees felt closer now, as if they'd crept up to the roadside the moment no one was looking. An old man stood by the pump. His coat had lost its shape years ago, and his face looked like dried, cracked soil. He wasn't fueling up, just standing there, staring while Logan fumbled awkwardly with the nozzle. "Headin' to the lake?" the man rasped. His voice scraped the air like rusty nails on wood. "Yeah, heard it's a nice spot," Logan replied, glancing back at the others. "They say that," the old man mumbled. "They say that, then they stop saying, and then they don't come back." He turned and walked away, slowly, dragging his feet like time no longer applied to him. "Well, that's great," Rachel muttered. "Now we've got the creepy horror prologue, too." "Really sets the mood," Tyler smirked. "Let's just hope the gas isn't cursed." Emily stepped away from the van and saw it. A flower. Small, alone, growing stubbornly through a crack in the pavement. Bright yellow petals, fragile and defiant, clinging to life in this forgotten place. She crouched beside it, gently touched its stem, didn't pick it, just looked. There was something important about it, like a sign, the kind you don't understand but can't ignore. "Beautiful," Ethan said, stopping a few steps away. "Hard to believe anything could grow here," Emily said softly, not turning. "Feels like a mistake, or maybe the only real thing around." He stood silent for a moment, then took a slow step closer, but not too close. "If I were a flower," he said. "I'd want to grow where you'd see me." She looked at him. He wasn't meeting her gaze. His eyes were on the weeds, the concrete, but his face was open, vulnerable, honest. "Stupid, huh?" He laughed nervously. "No," she whispered. "Not at all." They stayed quiet for a few more seconds, but it wasn't an empty silence. It was full, like the woods before a storm. Then Logan's voice broke the moment, calling from the van. "Hey, you two staying here or what? Let's go." When the van rolled out again, Emily leaned her forehead against the glass. The forest was thickening, the sky pressing lower, and the air had taken on a different taste. Damp, earthy, like it came not from nature but from something beneath it. She watched the yellow flower by the roadside until it vanished from view. She didn't want it to be left there alone. There was something wrong in the silence between the pine branches, as if the air itself was holding its breath. The sun had already begun to dip toward the horizon when the van turned off onto a narrow gravel trail leading toward the lake. The wheels crunched over the loose stones, the body of the van bouncing slightly over each bump. Then, around the bend, the trees opened up, and there it was, a lake almost perfectly round, like someone had carved it out of the forest with a blade. The water shimmered gold, catching the day's last warm light. A breeze swept across its surface, and for a moment it seemed like the lake was breathing. "Wow," Jessica whispered. "Finally, Logan picks a spot that doesn't suck." "Thanks for the vote of confidence," Logan muttered, killing the engine. They all spilled out of the van. Rachel stretched tall and rolled her shoulders after the long ride. Tyler squinted against the sun, dropped his backpack onto the grass, and looked out over the water. "This is perfect. No people, no cell service. Paradise." "For a serial killer," Jessica quipped. Logan was already unloading the tents from the back. He moved fast, with military precision. The others followed, some eagerly, some lazily, but they helped. "All right," Logan called out. "Jess and I'll take that spot. Tyler and Rachel, over there. Emily and Ethan, take the clearing by the water." "Romantic," Tyler said with a wink. Emily didn't answer. She just started walking through the grass, her steps leaving soft impressions behind. The clearing really was beautiful. From here, the lake looked darker, deeper, almost black. She dropped her backpack and started setting up the tent. A minute later, Ethan joined her. "Great spot," he said quietly. "Very witch in the woods. All that's missing is a creepy cabin." Emily smiled. "No witches, please." "Sure, I'm more of a friendly spirits guy, ones that bring coffee and don't ask deep questions." They worked in silence, efficiently pulling fabric and poles into place. They didn't need to talk much. The quiet between them felt easy. By dusk, a fire was crackling at the center of the camp, spitting sparks into the sky. 6 shadows sat around it, faces flickering in the orange glow. Mist hovered just above the lake, and the world around them felt slower, softer. Jessica was roasting hot dogs on a stick. Tyler nursed a beer while poking the coals. Rachel scrolled aimlessly on her phone, even though there was no signal. Logan tossed more branches onto the fire. Ethan sat beside Emily, closer than usual, but not quite touching. "So," Tyler said, raising an eyebrow, "who's going first with the scary stories?" "Only if it's not about haunted gas stations," Rachel snorted. "No, seriously, let's set the mood." Tyler's voice dropped. "Picture it, dark woods, circle of friends, and no one really knows what's out there, just beyond the trees." "The scary part," Emily said suddenly, "is that it might be nothing, and you'd never know if that shadow was something, or just emptiness." "Oh my God," Jessica rolled her eyes. "Here we go." Ethan smiled gently. "Don't mind her. That's just how she builds atmosphere." "Well, mission accomplished," Logan said, passing around beers and tin cups. Let's just enjoy this, yeah? No worries, no stress. We made it out here, damn it. Laughter trickled through the clearing, warm, slow, like time itself was taking a breath. They ate without rush, savoring each bite, not out of hunger, but because food under the stars just tastes better. The beer fizzed quietly in their cans. The fire popped and cracked, washing their faces in a soft, dancing heat. Emily sat closest to the flames, hands wrapped around her cup. She watched the fire twist shadows across her friends' faces. For a few minutes, she tuned out the chatter, just watching, capturing every piece of this moment. It was simple, and warm, and perfect. Later, when the night thickened and the lake turned into a mirror of the stars, they trickled off into their tents. The wind had died. The fire was down to embers. The camp settled into a fragile hush. Ethan lay with his back turned, facing the nylon wall. Emily stared up at the thin fabric ceiling. Something stirred inside her, not fear, not anxiety, but a vibration, like someone had plucked a hidden string deep in her chest. Eventually, sleep took her. Ethan woke to a snap. He didn't know what it was at first. A dream? Or had someone stepped on a twig? The tent was a dim blur, and for a second, he couldn't even remember where he was. But the smells brought him back. Warm sleeping bag, faded nylon, the faint smoke of the fire. He listened. Nothing. Then another crack. Closer. Ethan slowly sat up, careful not to wake Emily. She lay beside him, her face half hidden beneath her hoodie. He froze for a second, just watching her, checking, making sure everything was okay. She was breathing steadily, peacefully. A rustle, closer this time, right behind the tent. He reached for the zipper, moved slowly, carefully, unzipped it just an inch or two, just enough to see outside. Darkness. The moon was lost behind thick clouds, and the forest looked like an old, faded photograph. No movement, no sound. He was about to lie back down when his eyes caught something. At the edge of the trees, a shape, tall, unnaturally still. It looked human, almost, but too big, too still, just standing there, watching. Ethan blinked, and it was gone. Or maybe it stepped back, melted into the dark. He eased the zipper shut and lay down again, heart pounding in his chest, pulsing in his throat, his temples. Emily stirred. She turned toward him in her sleep. Didn't wake, just instinct. A small shift. He reached out and touched her hand. Just a gentle tap. A check. She was there. Everything was fine. He closed his eyes. Morning came faster than expected. The air was crisp, cool, smelling of damp grass and the ghost of campfire smoke. Emily was the first to wake. She crawled out of the tent, stretched, and scanned the shoreline. Stillness. The forest stood like a photograph, frozen in place. One by one, the others stirred. Someone fired up the camp stove for coffee. Someone else stretched and yawned in the early chill. But something was off. Something didn't fit. Tyler was nowhere to be found. He probably just went to take a leak, Rachel muttered, hugging her arms against the cold. 40 minutes ago, Jessica said flatly. His phone still in the tent. Shoes, too. Didn't even take his water bottle. They searched the camp, called his name, checked the water line. No answer. Only the lake sparkled in the sunlight, reflecting the pine trees, and a growing sense of dread. The sun rose higher, but the air stayed cold. Too quiet, too still. He just disappeared, Rachel whispered, sitting by the dead fire. Her voice was tight, like she was holding back tears or rage. Tyler wouldn't just leave, not without his phone, not without saying anything. He could have slipped near the water, Jessica offered. Hit his head, maybe blacked out, and just lay there for hours. Emily shook her head. We've already checked the entire shoreline. Maybe we had a fight, Rachel said quietly. Maybe he left because of me. Jessica frowned. He went out last night, right? You said you didn't see him come back. I fell asleep. I thought he came back. Rachel's voice faded. She pressed her palms to her face. We need to split up, Ethan said. If he wandered into the woods, he could be lost. I'll go with Logan, he added. We'll head deeper, look for tracks. Then we'll take the shoreline, Emily said, nodding to Jessica and Rachel. We'll follow the creek, just don't get lost yourselves. Ethan and Logan headed into the woods. Leaves crunched softly underfoot. The shadows between the trees stretched longer than they should at this hour. You think he just walked off on his own? Ethan asked. No, Logan replied without hesitation. He was scared of the woods, especially at night. Then where is he? Logan didn't answer. They walked in silence for nearly 10 minutes before they saw it. A roof, wooden, blackened with age. It looked like the forest had grown around it or swallowed it. A house, sunken into the earth, like a root. What the hell? Logan whispered. There's not supposed to be anything out here. Ethan clenched his jaw. We have to check. What if he's inside? Great! Classic horror move. Let's check the creepy cabin in the woods. This isn't a movie. They approached slowly. The door creaked, loud, ancient, like it hadn't been opened in years. Inside, the air stank of rot, damp wood, and something metallic. Ethan covered his mouth with his sleeve. Somewhere in the dark, a groan. Someone's in here! Logan rushed toward the sound, then shouted, Ethan! It's Tyler! He was on the floor, tied up, bloodied. His eyes were closed, his lips trembling. Logan dropped to his knees, fumbling with the ropes. Ethan knelt beside him, gently shaking him awake. Tyler! Hey, wake up! He coughed, groaned, and cracked his eyes open. For a few seconds, he stared into nothing, lost. Then something shifted in his face. Panic, recognition. No, he's coming, he's here. Tyler started thrashing, struggling to sit up. He found me, he took me, you have to go now. Who? Ethan grabbed his shoulders. Who did this? I didn't see his face. Tyler gasped. He was tall, all in black, a bag over his head, claws, hands like claws. His eyes darted around the room, wide and wild. He was playing, like he was watching me stumble in the dark. Logan locked eyes with Ethan. His voice dropped to a whisper. We need to get the hell out of here. Now. By the time they made it back to camp, the sun was already slipping behind the trees. Emily, Jessica, and Rachel were standing by the lake. When they saw Logan and Ethan emerge from the woods, half carrying a barely conscious Tyler, the girls ran toward them. Oh my God. Jessica reached them first. What happened to him? We found him, Logan panted, in a cabin deep in the woods, tied up, covered in blood. Who did this? He said someone's coming for him, Ethan added. Emily felt something twist deep in her gut. Panic rose inside her like water in a locked pipe. It sounded insane, like a nightmare someone made up. But Tyler was trembling like he'd just been pulled out of a frozen lake. We need to call the cops and an ambulance, Ethan said, already pulling out his phone. Let them come get us out of here. We're going back to town, Jessica snapped. Now. Logan sprinted to the van. A minute later, he was back, face pale, almost gray. We're not going anywhere, he said. Someone slashed the tires, all four, and something's wrong with the engine. I'm no mechanic, but it won't even turn over. It's like something got ripped out of it. What? Emily flinched. You mean on purpose? They're keeping us here, Ethan muttered. He wants us to stay. Tyler groaned. His lips were pale, his eyes wild, like a trapped animal. He's already here, he whispered. And he knows you came for me. Then we walk. Oh, right. Jessica threw her hands up, spinning toward the shadowed trail. It took us over an hour to drive from the gas station, and even that place gave me the creeps. We can't just sit here, Emily said quietly, waiting for him, or whatever this is, to show up again. We have to move, head to the gas station. There'll be help. What if he's waiting for us in the woods? Rachel's voice cracked. She wrapped her arms around her shoulders. Can't be worse than staying here, Logan said flatly. Let's go. They moved along the dirt road, dragging Tyler between them. Flashlights cut through the dark, slicing narrow ribbons between the trees. The trunks looked gray, like old bones. The forest felt like it was closing in, bending over them, whispering through the leaves, watching. About 40 minutes passed before Emily suddenly stopped. Wait, did you hear that? Everyone froze. Silence, but not a natural one. It rang like a held breath, a silence that knew it was being listened to. Then, a crack, off the trail. One step, then another, slow, careful, like something moving parallel to them, trying not to be noticed. Shit, Logan hissed, whipping his flashlight toward the sound. Just trees. Could be an animal, he added, forcing his voice to stay calm. Or not an animal, Rachel whispered, clutching Emily's arm. Let's move faster. They picked up the pace. The footsteps kept up. Then a snap to the right. Another one, on the left. And then, ahead. The sounds were closing in. The forest was breathing, watching, closing its grip. Emily felt panic coil inside her chest, tightening. Jessica whimpered, glancing back over her shoulder again and again. Tyler murmured weakly, "He's coming. He's already here." And then they saw him. He didn't step into view, he just was. As if the dark had exhaled him into the world. A tall shape, broad shoulders, motionless. His head was covered with a burlap sack, roughly tied at the neck like a noose. Chains dangled from under a long, black coat, rusty animal traps clanging with each step. In one hand, he held a sickle, long, curved, heavy, old, like it came from another time, another life. He moved slowly, but each step landed with the weight of something unstoppable. "I'll talk to him," Logan said quietly, letting go of Tyler. "Logan, don't..." Emily reached for him, but he was already stepping forward, hands raised. "Listen, we just want to leave. We don't want..." He never finished the sentence. Woofk. The air screamed. The sickle sank into his chest with a wet, sickening thud. His body was thrown backward, then hit the ground. "No!" Jessica shrieked and lunged forward, but Ethan grabbed her, pulled her back hard. "Leave him. We can't help." "Logan! He... She sobbed, twisting in Ethan's grip. "Run!" Ethan roared. They scattered. Emily dragged Rachel through the slick mud, their feet slipping and sliding. Ethan threw Tyler over his shoulder, hauling him forward with everything he had. The flashlights jerked and shook, bouncing off trees, faces, shadows. Someone stumbled, someone screamed, someone just cried, silently, hopelessly. Behind them, heavy footsteps, the clatter of chains. Death was following, and it was in no hurry. Jessica fell behind. In a panic, she veered off the trail and dove into the woods. Her heart pounded in her ears. Branches cracked behind her. Leaves rustled. Her whole body trembled. She spotted a low, dense bush and threw herself beneath it, curling up tight. The leaves scratched at her face, dug into her cheeks. But she didn't move. Not a sound. The figure in the burlap sack passed by. Slow, painfully slow. He walked like he felt the earth, like he could hear hearts trembling beneath the skin. Jessica held her breath. He stopped, turned. She shut her eyes. A step, another, then nothing. She exhaled, barely a whisper. That's it. He's gone. Just one more minute and... Clang. The steel jaws snapped from the dark like a scream. The trap tore through the air and slammed down onto her back. with a dry, sickening crunch. Her spine broke clean. She didn't scream. Only a gasp escaped her throat, wet and shallow. Her eyes flew open into the dark, and in them froze eternity. Inside the house, it was dark, and it reeked of rot, but it felt like a fortress, or maybe just a lie that pretended to be one. Ethan slammed the door shut, shoving an old dresser across the entryway as he moved. Emily helped lower Tyler onto a battered, sagging couch. Rachel sat trembling in the corner, pressed so deep into the wall it looked like she wanted to vanish. Tears streamed down her face, steady and silent. "He killed Jess and Logan," she whispered. "We don't know that," Ethan said, locking eyes with her. "She could have gotten away. Right now, we need to think about surviving, and we're not gonna last long in here." "We wait until morning," Tyler croaked from the couch. "You won't make it till morning," Ethan shot back. "You're bleeding too much and he's not gone. He's out there. I heard him." "So what then?" Emily's hands curled into fists. "We just die in here?" "No." Ethan took a breath. "Listen, I'll distract him. I'll run into the woods, yell, make noise. He'll follow me. That'll give you time. You head for the gas station. You can make it." "You're insane," Emily said, shaking her head. "That's not a plan. That's suicide." "I have a better chance than any of you. I'm not hurt, and if I'm lucky, he won't come back here. I can buy you a minute." "I don't want to lose you," she whispered. He gave her a small, quiet smile. "Don't worry. Back in 4th grade, I came in 3rd place at the school track meet. Lost both shoes and consciousness, but I finished." Crack. The window exploded, wood shattered, boards went flying, and the silhouette burst into the house. He stepped straight from the dark, no sound, no hesitation. Each step landed like a hammer strike. He didn't run. He didn't need to. He moved with impossible calm, like gravity obeyed him. Tyler looked up, just in time. Snap! The steel trap clamped around his neck with a wet crunch. His mouth hung open like he was about to say something, but no sound came out. Rachel screamed. She bolted, but the figure in the coat was already there, inhumanly fast. One move, a hand around her head, a sharp jerk. Her neck snapped like a dry branch. Emily screamed. Ethan was already moving. They threw themselves at the door. It cracked open with a crash, and they disappeared into the night-drenched forest. They ran almost blind, clinging to each other as they crashed through wet branches and the cold air that slapped their faces like open palms. Emily stumbled, fell to her knees. Ethan stopped immediately, dropped beside her, wrapped his arms around her shoulders. "Emily, you have to get up. We can't stop. He could be anywhere. Do you hear me?" She shook her head, sobbing, but after a second, with effort, she forced herself to her feet and ran again. Tears streamed down her cheeks, but she kept moving. The forest turned against them, branches snagging her hair, clawing at her sleeves, scratching skin. The air thickened like the moment before a thunderstorm. Ethan screamed. His body jerked violently. Snap! Underfoot, a trap. Steel teeth clamped down on his leg like they wanted to tear the bone apart. "Shit!" he screamed in agony. "Goddamn trap!" Emily dropped beside him, hands shaking, trying to pry the jaws open, but it didn't budge. Blood poured down his leg. Something glinted in the mud nearby. A rusted hacksaw. They locked eyes. No words. They both knew. "I can't," she whispered. "I can't leave you." "You have to," he said through clenched teeth. "Run, I'll figure something out." "I can't just leave you." "Emily, please, save yourself. Get help." She hesitated. Tears welled again. Her lips trembled. Then, as if some ancient instinct took control, she turned and ran. Behind her, a scream. One, then another. He was calling. begging. She covered her ears, but it didn't matter. She still heard him. Thunder rolled, and then the sky opened. Rain poured down in sheets. Branches lashed her face. Her clothes stuck to her skin. She ran. Tears and rain became the same thing. Then, through the branches, light, headlights, a road. She laughed through her sobs. She ran faster, and then a root, just one. It caught her ankle like a hand. Wham! She hit the ground, hard, and everything went dark. Lee came to, the sky was black. Thunder cracked somewhere overhead. Rain lashed her face. Everything swam. Her head throbbed like a drum. The world spun like a broken carousel. A dull ache pulsed at the base of her skull. She sat up, groaning, tried to stand. Ahead, lights, wavering, blurred by rain. A bar, people. She stumbled toward the road. 50 yards ahead, a roadside bar. A few bikers stood around their motorcycles, drinking and laughing, trying to outshout the thunder. Headlights sliced through the downpour like blades. Emily let out a sob. She stepped forward, then again. Hey, help! Her voice was weak, hoarse, swallowed by the storm. And then, a violent yank. Something ripped her backward, hard, as if the ground itself had come alive and grabbed her by the hair. Cold, muddy fingers clawed at her scalp. Pain exploded behind her eyes. She didn't even have time to scream. Face first into the dirt, mouth full of mud. A rock cracked between her teeth. Her hands clawed at the earth. Fingers snagged in roots. Nails bent and snapped. She kicked, thrashed. But the grip was mechanical, emotionless. He was dragging her back into the woods. With every breath, hope shrank. The bar was so close, just a little farther, and maybe the light would chase the nightmare away. But the glow dimmed, the headlights blurred, the laughter drowned beneath the thunder. Life slipped away. The bar faded behind her, and so did Emily. He stopped. The grip loosened. She tried to crawl. Her body barely responded. Every inch was agony. Then, right in front of her, a flower, yellow, alone, exactly like the one near the gas station. And with it, a flood of memory, laughter, friends, a campfire, a stupid little life where Monday morning was the worst thing in the world. Emily wept, not loud, just tired. A shadow fell across the flower, him, as if the forest had exhaled him. That same monstrous shape, broad shoulders, burlap sack, chains hanging from his coat, sickle in hand. He grabbed her, twisted her body like a rag doll, effortless. Emily screamed, sharp, useless, the kind of scream you let out when you already know no one's coming. The forest said nothing. He raised his arm. The sickle sliced through the air, and for a moment, even the wind screamed in fear. Then, everything vanished.